Welcome to another round of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Super Cup and Super Series. This weekend we've got them both together joining the GP circuit here at Donington Park. Now the guys are about to go out for the first race of the day and Matt Pickford has put it on pole for the Super Series. There is a 20-second delay as they're both out on track at the same time, so Andy, I'm going to leave it up to you to sort out who's coming where.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Well, for the second time this year then, we group both the Super Cup and Super Series grids together. It's the Super Cup cars at the front as ever, so it's Jack Harding and Luke Herbert on row one, with Aidan Hills and Simon Baldwin alongside. Then Will Stevenson and Joe Marshall-Burks, with Patrick Fletcher and Jack Sycamore on the fourth row. Nick Rutter and David Henderson round out the top 10, ahead of Chris Richardson and Lewis Kent making his debut in the championship. His brother Bradley is next alongside Paul Myers, whilst Chris Dawkins makes a welcome return. He's on the back row with Gary Townsend. In the Super Series, as we saw, Pickford on pole with Simon Fleet alongside. Simon Hutchins and Clive Powell, 3 times a podium finisher, lines up on the second row. Declan Lee and Alex Miller are next, with Christina Holly and David O'Reilly on the fourth row of the grid. Row 5 for Adam Rowlandson and Jim Hart, whilst Liz Walton rounds out the runners. So lots to watch for then in our 3 races, and for the first time ever we're on the majestic Donington Park Grand Prix circuit, so we get all of the usual excitement Donington Park produces, plus that Melbourne loop, which is a prime opportunity for overtaking. Red lights on them, about to go racing. The top 2 in the championship sharing the front row with Harding on the left and Herbert on the right. Away they go, the Super Cup field at least, and they are wheel to wheel down to Redgate Corner. It looks as though Harding on the inside line might just be able to get into Redgate Corner first, but Herbert is the only car on the outside, so he's under no real pressure from those around him. Oh, and a spin straight away for Simon Baldwin, and in avoidance several others run onto the grass. Didn't quite see who tipped him into that spin, but Simon Baldwin already in strife, but the top 3 use that to their advantage to break away already. Harding leading the way with a Herbert in second. Aidan Hills, as ever, is not far behind them in third position. Aidan 3 times a winner this year, but he's already had 7 podium visits as well, after what's turned into a much more consistent second half of the season for him. The Super Series group are away, by the way. We're on board with Alex Miller now, and this looking back from the race leader Matt Pickford, who's held on to the lead from pole. Looks like Clive Powell's is through into second place though, hoping to have a slightly less entertaining weekend in a way than he had at Alton Park last time out. To the leaders then, Harding leading them into Coppice Corner for the first time. This is such a momentum circuit though. If you start defending, then you're liable to lose a lot of speed onto the next straight, and that's what's happened there. Looks at Herbert and Hills starting to gang up on Harding, but actually ganging up slightly on each other as well. They're side by side for second place down the exhibition straight, but now we're turning left instead of right into the chicane at the end of it, and that should favour Herbert, which indeed it does. So Luke Herbert will maintain that second position on the run down to the Melbourne hairpin for the first time. Hills is actually defending now from, I think that's Joe Marshall-Burks, who started 6th on the grid. Joe making, I believe, his first appearance in the Super Cup this year, but he's been a regular runner in the Super Series earlier on in the season. Took 4 victories and 10 podiums in the first half of the season or so in the Super Series. So Joe Marshall-Burks, a very rapid driver, this weekend finds himself racing at the sharp end of the Super Cup. Simon Hutchins, meanwhile, is making his first appearance of the season in the Super Series, and he's straight on the pace, look, running in third place as they drop down the hill into the Melbourne hairpin for the first time. At the end of the opening lap in Super Cup, it is Harding leading the way from Herbert second. Now Herbert arrives here at Donington Park with a very handy 12-point championship advantage, and that's after the drop scores are applied as well, so that is the reality of the situation. He's 12 points clear of Harding, with Aidan Hills a further 24 back, so Aidan is actually 26 points off the championship lead, and so it really is down to these 2 now to fight for the championship. Every point matters, and it's Harding that really is on the back foot now, needs to try and start winning races and hope that Herbert starts losing more positions, because Luke Herbert has this wonderful knack of finishing second place, but with the fastest lap. He's trying though to go one better here and get the lead away. They've broken away from Aidan Hills, who's been busy defending his third position, and Jack Harding is now really having to stick his elbows out to try and keep Herbert at bay. Herbert's got the wider line into Coppice, which is the preferred line for good exit speed, and he's had a really good exit from the corner, and runs wheel to wheel with Jack Harding down the back straight. Back to the Super Series now. Alex Miller here diving up the inside of the number 27 car, that's Jim Hart. So Alex Miller's not had a great start because he started 6th and Hart was 8th on, no, it was 10th in fact on the grid. So Hart appears to have gained a bit of ground, whereas Miller has fallen down slightly. Miller's twice been on the podium earlier on this year. Now, the head of the field, they're side by side again, but they've clearly tripped over each other slightly through the chicane, because Aidan Hills and Joe Marshall-Burks have caught back up to the leading 2. who interestingly are still in the same order as well. So despite that really good exit from Coppice Corner, Herbert wasn't able to complete the manoeuvre, so Harding hangs on to the lead. They run up to the Goddard's hairpin now, the final left-hander for the second time in this race, and they come out to the other side, still with Harding leading the way. Jack Harding looking for his 21st career victory. It's a remarkable season that he's had. He's already won 6 races earlier on this year, but he and Luke Herbert are tied for podium appearances. Both of them have been on the podium 14 times this year, including their 6 and 4 race victories respectively. These two have rather dominated the season, with Aidan Hills an ever-present thorn in their side, but it seems now a little too late in the day for him to start mounting a serious championship threat, but he could yet prove to be another race winner as the year goes on, or add to his list of race victories that he's had. He certainly seems to have the pace this weekend, and don't forget that last year here at Donington Park, Aidan Hills had good speed then as well. He managed to take himself a race victory here and a couple of podium finishes, did Aidan, so he is a quick driver, knows how to race the Donington Park National Circuit, and whilst the Grand Prix circuit shares many of the same elements as the National Circuit does, that extra run down the loop does require a slightly different driving style, and it certainly keeps the racing nice and close, which it is as they head into the chicane. It's now getting to be an even longer line of cars fighting for the lead now, because Jack Sycamore is inching towards them. Gary Townsend there goes inside of David Henderson, but Jack Harding is really struggling now to keep them all at bay. Down the hill they come. Joe Marshall-Burke's there in 4th position. And then in 5th is Patrick Fletcher having another good run, look, and he, as I said, is bringing Sycamore with him, so it's 6 cars for the lead now as they head out of the Melbourne hairpin up to the final corner, and Jack Harding is just driving around the inside of the track, trying not to allow Herbert through. We've seen time and time again this season that once Luke Herbert gets out in front, he is very, very hard to get past, but then the same can actually be said of Jack Harding, and certainly in the last couple of race meetings, Harding has been on pretty unstoppable form. Won the first 2 races, remember, at Croft earlier on this year. Changed there for 4th position. Patrick Fletcher muscles his way through. And Patrick Fletcher still looking for his first ever podium finish, remember. He's been close on a couple of occasions earlier on this year, but he's yet to actually get into the top 3. Well, he's only 1 place away now, having got past Joe Marshall-Burks. Jack Sycamore has been on the podium. He's also raced in Super Series on a couple of occasions this season, has Jack Sycamore, where he managed to take a couple of podium finishes. So it really goes to show the benefit of racing in the Super Series, I think. Even if it's just for the occasional round, it really does help keep you sharp. And many drivers who perhaps in the past we've seen struggling to make it into the top 5 or 6 in the SuperCup races, they go into a half season or so in Super Series and it all changes. Are we about to have it all changing at the front of the field though, because Herbert is once again alongside Jack Harding as they head now down the exhibition straight once again into the chicane, but Aidan Hills has a run on both of them, goes to the inside and gets the door slammed in his face by Jack Harding, but so preoccupied was Jack with keeping Aidan behind that he couldn't stop Luke Herbert driving around the outside, so Herbert's got the lead away. Meanwhile, that is Gary Townsend, who's slipped back and he's battling with some of the leading Super Series contenders. It's all changed at the front. Look at this. Patrick Fletcher's now into 2nd position, although he might be about to lose that again to Jack Harding. And Luke Herbert just took the lead going into the chicane. He's all the way down into 6th place now. So something odd happened going through the chicane there. And Luke Herbert is the man who has come out by far and away the worst. And he can't really afford to be finishing that far down the order. Simon Hutchins now in the Super Series element of the race. Car number 37 works his way down the hill. There's nice battling going on in front of us there with Simon Fleet and Clyde Powell's involved. Back to the race leaders, and it is Hills then who somehow has found his way out in front. They're 3 abreast here for 3rd place. Oh, and Luke Herbert makes contact with the back of Joe Marshall-Burke's car. Now, if Herbert were to finish in 5th place, that would become one of his drop scores. At the moment, he's dropping essentially 3 third places, 2 third places on the road, plus a 4th place for the fastest lap. So it's 3 lots of 96 points that he is dropping. Jack Harding has a pair of 3rd places and a 5th place that he's already dropping. So it's Herbert that's in the stronger position with drop scores. He's dropping more at the moment, but that means that he's got a bit more leeway. If he were to have a bad race, it wouldn't spell complete disaster. It looks as though this might be a bad race, because not only has he dropped down into 5th place, but he's in danger of losing the toe to leading 4 now, who are heading through Coppice Corner now. Hills, Harding, Marshall-Burks, and I think it's Jack Sycamore, isn't it, that's in 4th position as they head down the back straight then into the chicane once again. Turn through the left, through the right. Tell a lie, it's Fletcher, isn't it, that's in third position, in fact. Getting my two black cars mixed up. Yeah, you can see the black and red number 29, Patrick Fletcher, then in third position. Falls to the outside into the Melbourne loop, which sees Jack Harding get a good exit from it. He's alongside Hills, but this is dangerous because it's the outside line for the Goddard's hairpin. Hard on the brakes, steeply uphill though, and Hills hangs on to the lead, but how slow is Harding off the corner? Fairly slow is the answer, so Fletcher gets alongside, but that was the outside line again, and he had no toe, so in the end it stays as it is then. Hills, Harding, Fletcher, Sycamore, then a slight gap back to Herbert, but Herbert is taking advantage of their squabbling to catch back up once again. Out of Redgate, down the hill towards the Craner curves once again, this mighty sequence of corners. And Hayden Hills having to fight a real rearguard action here to keep championship contender Jack Harding at bay, who goes up the inside into the old hairpin. That was a really nice move under braking for that very quick right-hander. You're always going to be a bit slow on the exit though, and so Hayden Hills sees his chance immediately to fight back, and does fight back. He's alongside, that's the inside line for McLean's, and that opens the floodgates because Patrick Fletcher gets up the inside as well now, and Jack Harding could be in danger of losing several places here. There's a back marker in front as well. That's number... it's one of the Super Series, no, it's Paul Myers in fact, who's running in Super Cup, and he desperately tries to get out of the way. There may have been a bit of contact there, but Harding has somehow muscled his way back through into second place, and it's Fletcher that loses out because Sycamore and Luke Herbert both get alongside him. So Hills will lead the way, Harding will be second, and Luke Herbert somehow has worked his way back through into third position, and poor old Patrick Fletcher, through no real fault of his own there, ends up dropping all the way down to fourth position. Back then with Simon Hutchings, looking back at Declan Lee. This is in the Super Series battle again, and Simon Hutchings is fighting here for a podium place, having a pretty solid debut in the Super Series here. Clyde Powell and Simon Fleet are side by side in front of him, and they are in fact fighting for third, so he's in the podium battle, but he's not in a podium place at the moment. Matt Pickford still leads the race. Simon Fleet, you can see in the background, going through into second place. Clyde Powell's down to third, that delays both of them, and so Simon Hutchings gets alongside. Does he down this run to the Melbourne loop? Yes he does, he's got the inside line, and as long as he stops the car, should be able to move through. Oh, and that's Declan Lee, who arrives out of absolutely nowhere, tries to overtake three cars in one, and ends up sideswiping poor old Simon Fleet, who often finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's not particularly pleased with that because he's just been nerfed out of second place, and Declan Lee, I fear, may get in a bit of trouble for that. It clearly wasn't intentional, but nonetheless, that has rather scuppered Simon Fleet's chances of fighting for a race victory now. Here are the drivers fighting for the victory in the Super Cup element of the race, and once again, despite everything that's been thrown at them, it always seems to be these three that get themselves into the top three positions. We've had other drivers appear on the podium this year, people like James Blake Baldwin and Jack Sycamore, Steve Roberts for example, but 9 times out of 10 it is these three that fill out those podium spots, and that's why I refer to them often as the big three, because they are the three that everyone else is targeting really, and you can see why. Now I know that Steve Roberts and James Blake Baldwin aren't here this weekend, they usually would be in the hunt with these three, but it's not like they've had plain sailing in this race either, because they've had stiff opposition from Marshall Burks and Fletcher and Sycamore, and yet through it all, these are the three that are now not only in the top three positions, but pulling away actually from Fletcher, Marshall Burks and Sycamore, 4th, 5th and 6th. Pulling away for now though, because they haven't been battling too hard on this lap. That's all about to change though, because Luke Herbert goes to the outside of Jack Harding down to the Melbourne hairpin. Slides out wide though, does Harding on the exit of the corner, fends him off, and they head back to the end of another lap. Goddard's hairpin round the back of the grandstand and the hospitality unit here at Donington Park, and back along the pit straight. You can see there with the high-speed nature of the Donington Park circuit, it's so hard to escape. That slipstream is really, really exaggerated somewhere like Donington Park, and that's just not allowing Hayden Hills any respite here as he tries to hang on now for another race victory. He's won 5 races in his career, 3 of them have come this year, and one of the others came here at Donington Park just under 12 months ago. Down into the old hairpin, sliding around is Hayden Hills as he just desperately tries to keep them behind, but he can sort of try and play them off against each other here, because Jack Harding, yes, he'd like to win the race, but he also knows that the last thing he needs is to let Herbert through, so Hayden Hills will be fully aware of the situation between the two of them behind. And look, yeah, see Harding immediately, as soon as he feels under pressure from Herbert, moves to the inside to defend into Coppice corner. In the end, Herbert runs a bit wide anyway, so there is no change, but Aidan Hills can maybe use that championship, a very finely poised championship situation between the two drivers immediately behind him to his advantage. Doesn't want to be locking up the brakes into the chicane though. That's very, very easy part of the circuit to mess up at the best of times. He has been a bit slow off the chicane as a result, and so Harding, hang on, where's Herbert gone? Luke Herbert has dropped way back again in third place. Luke Herbert's having a real nightmare through that chicane. It's a couple of times now that he's lost not just a small amount of time, but chunks. He's lost a good second or so to the two cars in front of him, presumably through a slightly less than ideal run through that chicane. Simon Hutchings now, who's got the recovering Simon Fleet back on his tail through the chicane now, down to the Melbourne hairpin. Simon Fleet with a slightly wider run out of there because Hutchings is immediately moving to the middle of the road to defend. Has that been successful? There's no sign of Simon Fleet on the inside just yet. There is Simon, still following him through. They both get very, very sideways under power though, coming out of the Melbourne hairpin. Run now up towards the final turn and back through to another lap with Hutchings hanging on to the position. So top two then, dropping down the hill towards the old hairpin now. Everything that I said a lap ago about Hills being able to play Harding and Herbert off against each other now goes out of the window because Herbert's dropped way, way back and may not catch these two again. So Harding has free rein here to take within reason whatever line he wants to try and get past Aidan Hills, and that's why he's able to take that wide line into McLean's to get to the inside into Coppice Corner. They're banging wheels as they turn into the right-hander. Something had to give, and we'll find out in a moment or two exactly what did give. For the time being, we ride on board with Matt Pickford running in the Super Series race lead still. Hutchings and Fleet now second and third, so there's been a bit of a mix-up there too, I think, with Clive Powell's dropping down the order somewhere possibly. Pick them up though when we can, but Pickford in a relatively unchallenged race lead. Right, what's going on at the front? Hills is still leading, Harding is second, but yeah, that's backed them right up into Herbert and Fletcher. So it's all just got very, very close again for second place, and this is how quickly things can change. Half a lap ago we were saying that Harding was under no pressure at all from Herbert, and now he has to try and keep his big title rival behind him once again. They're running out of time now though, coming into the final third of the race, and Aidan Hills still maintains this race lead. Patrick Fletcher in fourth is back with them, whilst Jack Sycamore and Joe Marshall-Burks are having their own private battle for fifth position. Oh, and Marshall-Burks with a dive up the inside there of Jack Sycamore into Redgate Corner. Did that work? No, yes it did. Yes it did. The black car comes out in front, so Marshall-Burks into the top five again. That wouldn't be a bad race for his first appearance of the season in Super Cup. The last time that the Super Cup and Super Series grids were mixed was at Anglesey, and whilst Joe Marshall-Burks did race that weekend, he was entered into the Super Series rather than the Super Cup, but he was able to get himself an 8th place finish overall in one of the races, so he showed top 10 potential, and that's why he's decided this weekend that he's going to have a go in the Super Cup, and clearly that was the right decision. I think Sycamore might have got impact though, I saw in the background as they came through McLean's corner. Back through Coppice then, out along the exhibition straight at the far end of the circuit they go, coming back towards the pit complex, and then they go behind the pit lane and paddock area down the Melbourne loop. Hills and Harding do seem to have pace over Herbert in this one though. Fastest lap, by the way, belongs to Jack Sycamore, the man who's back into 5th position again now, so that's significant because that's worth 2 championship points. It doesn't particularly help Sycamore's championship because he's a long way back in the points, but of course it stops any of our top 3 in the championship being able to score those 2 bonus points. So with the battling looking set to intensify again between the 3 of them, I don't think we'll see that change hands again either, so we've probably seen the fastest of the laps in this race so far. Because once again, Hills starts to defend, backs Harding up into Herbert. That will, before too much longer, probably bring Patrick Fletcher back into play. They are, though, going on to the final lap of the race now. Can Aidan Hills hang on to this one? Jack Harding has a dive up the inside at Redgate Corner. That was a really late lunge, but the wide line is always going to be the preferable one on the exit of the corner, so Hills didn't have to panic too much. That little flash of movement in his mirrors, though, may, possibly, so Harding was hoping, have forced a mistake out of Aidan Hills, but that wasn't to be. And now Harding drops back and has to start defending from Herbert again, but he'll pick up the toe coming out of this corner, the old hairpin. The next 2 left-hand kinks at Starkeys and Schwantz Curve are flat out, so he'll pick up the slipstream up the hill, By the time they reach McLean's corner, he's almost back with Aidan Hill's look, and Harding has been strong through this section all race long. I've noticed that. He does seem able to catch the cars in front fairly regularly through McLean's and Coppice corner. Now there is realistically only one more place that he can overtake, as a real dive at the rear bumper of Aidan Hill's going through Coppice there, and nearly ran into the back of the number 8 car. But Aidan Hill's is hanging on. Looks like being another really close finish though. Donington Park has a history of close finishes. But is it going to be close between the leaders, or are we going to have to focus more on that fight for second position between Harding and Herbert? Because that's for the points lead. Things finish as they are now. Harding will narrow the gap slightly to Herbert. It'll come down from 12 to 10, but they're 3 abreast for the race lead down into the final, or the penultimate corner at Melbourne. Hill's on the inside. It's where's Herbert gone? He's gone right to the outside, but Aidan Hills keeps it tight on the exit of the corner, and it is now side by side behind him. Luke Herbert trying to get these 2 valuable championship points back from Jack Harding. He wants to try and limit the damage being done here if he can. They come out of the final corner. It will be Hills to take the victory for the 4th time this year, but who's it going to be in second place? It's Harding. Jack Harding just hangs on by 1/10.5 in the end over Herbert 3rd, and Patrick Fletcher once again narrowly misses out on that first podium appearance. Sycamore is 5th, and Joe Marshall-Burks will come home in 6th position. Crucially, Harding does take 2 points out of Herbert. 10 points will now separate them as we go into the second race of the weekend. So Hills then with the victory, Harding 2nd and Herbert 3rd, the top 3 covered by half a second. Then Fletcher and Sycamore. Joe Marshall-Burks was 6th with David Henderson, Chris Richardson, and then Matt Pickford actually in 9th position, rounding out the overall top 10, but he was your lead Super Series runner. Will Stevenson and Chris Dawkins excluded quite a few non-finishers, including, unfortunately, both of the Kent brothers, neither of whom got to the end of the race. So Matt Pickford then with a top 10 overall wins in the Super Series, with Simon Fleet 2nd and Simon Hutchings 3rd. Christina Holly gets into the top 5 for, I believe, the first time this year, with Alex Miller rounding out that top 5. Declan Lee was a non-finisher from the Super Series, so was Clyde Powell's, unfortunately, but everyone else did get to the end.
Aidan, that is going down in one of the history books of a classic MX-5 race. Can you talk us through it?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was just a standard MX-5 race. Anything can happen, really. Jack and Luke were battling for the lead. I was sat in 3rd. I had a line behind me as well, so I just wanted to get into the lead as quick as I can. I was waiting for something to kick off. It did, like I thought. I managed to get a run, capitalise on it. Got into the lead, and then when I got there, I was just, maintaining it and making sure that I didn't make any mistakes. I had a little bit of a brake problem. I just couldn't brake as late as I wanted to, so hoping we get that sorted for the next race. But yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's never nice having Luke and Jack on your back bumper, as everyone knows, but yeah, made the most of it and came through with another win, so it's good.
Any plans going into the next round? Obviously, a completely different grid, so anything can happen again.
Yeah, not really, just going to do exactly the same again and try and win another one. It's been a while since we've been on the top step of the podium. I missed it for 2 rounds, so it's good to be back here now, and I just want to make the most of it and try and see how many wins we can get before the end of the year.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again, Aidan. We'll see you later on this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Luke, what an exciting race between you and Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not just between me and Jack. There was, I think I was back in 7th at one point. I loved I think that's one of the best races, even though I come 3rd, one of the best races I've had all year. It's so exciting, it's like chop, change, forward, back, and obviously me and Jack are trying to have a championship battle, and we're trying to do it amongst 7 other cars. So, Aidan done well to get into the lead and take the win, but he was flying along, and my aim was Jack. So I thought if I don't beat Jack, I've got to try and get the fastest lap, but I missed out on it by 0.02 of a second. So yeah, I lose 2 points to Jack, but after a race like that, coming back with no damage, I'm not disappointed. I'm buzzing because it was great. Can't wait for the next one.
You're going to give us more excitement later on this afternoon?
Yeah, so I still don't know where I'm starting for the second race. TSL haven't released it yet, so could be 5th, could be 1st, could be 3rd, don't know. So, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be the same again later, so we'll see.
Brilliant, well we can't wait for that. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Jack, another classic battle between you and Luke?
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I think I had the lead to win the pace to win the race all the way through. In the lead, it's usually quite easy to defend, but Luke went for a really do-or-die move around the outside, messed up, and then pretty much just caused us to stop through the chicane, causing everyone to go through, so didn't quite go to plan. And then we had to battle our way back through, but I managed to finish in front of Luke, so obviously it's good points, but I just couldn't quite get past Aidan. I had plenty of pace on him, but like I said, it's quite easy to defend round here. But hopefully we'll convert the pole into a race win, race 2.
So plans going into race 2, just get your head down and get on with it?
Yeah, to be honest, I just need to do exactly what I was doing there. you know, like I said, it was only Luke's mistake that caused us to go back. So hopefully, if I just do the same again, I'll just stay in the lead. So yeah, hopefully we'll convert it to the win.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again, Jack.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Matt, what a fantastic result for you.
Yeah, thank you. I felt it's been coming this season, so this was my second pole. I had a pole back at Snetterden, but didn't manage to convert it into a win. Got a P2, but the car was quick yesterday in quali, and I think I was like 9/10 quicker than everybody else. So yeah, I had a really good start. It was a bit different doing it on the national flag rather than the lights, but I had a good start, and I saw all the guys just battling behind me, so I just got my head down and pushed some gap. But then probably about 3 or 4 laps from the end, the tyres started to go, and I could see them reeling me in, and that's when it starts to get quite interesting, because you start looking in your mirrors rather than looking forward. But what can I say? It was a really good race. Thanks to Brian and the guys at BC Car Motorsports for building a great car, and it's doing really well this season.
Well done. We can't congratulate you enough here. It has been a long time in the coming, this series, so fingers crossed for the next round this afternoon.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Thanks.